Yo, what's up guys? So we're going to be walking through the installation of a tail tidy for a 2023 450 SS today. As you can see, this tail tidy is from mustardbikes.com, an Australian-based company, and the tools that you will need to complete this job I have laid out here are going to be a 5mm Allen wrench, a pair of wire snips, 13mm socket. I have a short and a deep socket just because I'm not entirely sure which one I'll need yet. A 10mm wrench and a 5/8 inch wrench. I also over here have a Phillips head screwdriver that you will need as well. So let's go ahead and jump on into this. Alright guys, so I'm in the shade. Nice for me, maybe not so great for the video, but we'll hopefully get what we need. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to take your key, your CFmoto key here. You're going to find a spot here to go ahead and unlock the back seat, and we're going to go ahead and slip off the back seat. Alright, once the back seat is removed, then what we're going to do is we're going to need to remove the driver's seat as well. To do that, if you peel back the seat here, there are Allen wrenches. This is where your 5mm Allen wrench is going to come into handy first. Just the 2 bolts here, so we're going to go ahead and get those taken off now. Alright, so once you got that driver's seat off, next thing we're going to do is we're going to keep our 5mm Allen wrench, and we are going to remove 5 bolts here. So one is tucked up right in here. Got one right on the top of the bike. You have one on the side rear, another one on the side rear, and another one, last one, tucked up in there. So 5 total. Let's go ahead and get those removed now. Alright, cool. So I got those 5 Allen bolts removed. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the Phillips head screwdriver to remove some screws. So we got 2 here, 2 here, and then 1 on each side down here from where we took off the driver's seat. So let's go ahead and get those taken off. Alright, cool. Got those bolts all removed, or the screws. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to pull up on this piece here on the back. So if we pull up on it, you'll feel it will loosen up a little bit, and then you're going to actually push it forward to just pop it right off the bike, just like that. Go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright, so now that we got everything taken off, we have access into our wiring back here. So we're going to go ahead and pull on this, try and get this wiring out of here. Let's see what's holding it there. So it actually looks like the wiring is zip tied with a regular zip tie, so we'll need to cut that zip tie so that we can get this wiring out of here. So I'm actually just going to use a little razor blade to get this wire, or this wire tie cut off. Perfect. So now that that's cut off, we can go ahead and pull that out of there. Alright, cool. So now that that wire tie is out, we have access to pull this whole string of wires out. And now, as you can see, they actually have a removable wire tie wrapped around these cables. So the way these work, you just go ahead and you just press this little button in, and then you can feed the wire back through. And once you get that loosened a bit, you don't have to take it off completely, but you'll be able to go ahead and shimmy out the wires from this shrink wrap here, or whatever the hell kind of wrap it is. Still a little tedious to get it all out of there, but bang, cool. So now that you have your wires, There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires here that are just pressed into each other. All these green cap wires. We're going to go ahead and we're going to disconnect all of these. And the way that you do that is just simply by pulling them. It's as simple as that. So let me go ahead and get that done now. All right. Some of these you might have to give a pretty good little tug. Or you shouldn't worry about breaking them or anything. They should be tough enough to give a pretty good yank. But general rule of thumb, I try and grab it here at the black part and just grip it up top the best I can, and boom, just like that, everything is disconnected. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part. Alright, so this next part to go ahead and get this tail or this fender off the bike is going to be to remove these 3 13mm bolts here. So we'll go ahead and we will use our socket and we will get those out, and I'll follow up with you in a second. Alright, so once you get those 3 bolts removed, as you can see, the fender will just go ahead and drop down, and now we should have the ability to bang, just like that, pull out those wires that we undid. So now that we can go ahead and just take this off, we can go ahead and we can get this somewhere where we can sit down and get these lights out and get everything ready for the next step. So see you in a sec. Alright, so now I got somewhere that I can sit down and work. We are going to need our 5mm Allen again. If you're like me and you're going to be using the stock turn signals or indicator lights, which I am. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and get those off of the fender. To do that, we are going to remove these 2 Allen bolts here on this side. Then we're going to flip over, and there are 5 additional Allen bolts on this back side. We have 1 on each side here, 1 in the center, and then 2 up top. So let's go ahead, let's get these all removed, and I'll see you at the next step. Alright, so once you have all of those removed, now we can go ahead and separate the 2 pieces. Throw that off to the side. And then the next thing we're going to need to do, pull the wires for the indicators out of this little clip that they're in here. So we'll see if I can get this done with one hand. Not as easy as you might think with just one hand. Come on. This last one's in here pretty good. Maybe if I try get it out of there sideways. Let's see. Oh, well, look at that. You can just slide it out of there instead of trying to pull them up through. At least this last one will do the same thing. Here, fish that through. Throw that off to the side. So actually, it doesn't even look like we're going to need these ones now that I look at it. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know what those actually go to. Oh, these go to the rear light. So we are not going to be reusing that one. So we toss that one off to the side. We do need each of the 2 for the indicators. So now we're going to go to our 5/8 inch wrench, and we're going to need to go ahead and take the nuts off of both sides of this with that wrench. So let's go ahead and get that done. Alright guys, checking back in. I apologize. The 5/8 was too big. You actually need 9/16 to get those nuts off. So let me go ahead and try that again. Alright, so once you have the right size wrench and you're able to get those washers off, or those nuts in the washers, pretty simple. They're just going to slide right to the end of the wires, and we'll go ahead, we'll take that all off, set everything together, because we will be using all of this here soon. So here we go. Alright, so once we have everything, we got our right indicator, our left indicator, we've got the pieces that we don't need thrown around wherever. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to this piece here. Got the wires coming out of the top of it. This is where we are going to go ahead and install the indicators. As you can see, there's a spot on each side for the left and right indicators. So we will go ahead and get that started, and as you can see, the wire I mentioned we would not be needing earlier was for the light. This has a pre-installed light here with its own wiring, which is why we did not need the wiring from the old fender. So to get these new or the old lights installed, it's pretty much just going to be the reverse process of what we did on the old one. Again, excuse me, trying to do this with one hand here. So we would go ahead, pull these wires through on the applicable side. So again, this is our, oh, I guess I already have it backwards, right? So this is actually our left indicator, so I need to put this on the other side. But you'll pull this through. You'll get that through there so that it sits flush. Then you'll go ahead and get your nuts and washers back on. So the order that you want to put these on is you want to do flat washer first, then you want to do your split washer, or your lock washer, I think maybe it's called, followed by your nut. And then go ahead and obviously make sure that your lights are facing in the right direction and that they are centered to the best of your ability when you go ahead and get everything tightened down. So let me go ahead and do that, and I will check back in afterwards. Alright guys, so one cool little thing I discovered. Love the how these were manufactured and some of the details that were put into it. Shout out to Mustard Bikes for that. So these are actually the mount here is grooved so that you really can't put the lights in incorrectly, or I should say so that they are not correctly aligned to where they need to be. They pretty much will only sit in two directions, technically, backwards completely or right where they need to be, perfectly centered. So definitely, again, shout out to them for making that easier for everybody. So now that we have that done and out of the way, we're going to go over into this little bag of tricks here. We've also gotten the mounting arm here. So as you can hear, hopefully, this is like a really light aluminum, it feels like. So it looks pretty well made. All of the cuts look pretty nice. The powder coating looks good. It's got some little logos here on the end. Looks like an M, I assume for mustard. So quality looking piece there. This time we're going to need our Phillips head and our 10mm wrench there. What we're going to do is we're going to grab these two smaller bolts out of here, and also two of the nuts. So let me go ahead and grab those real quick. Alright, cool. So got the pieces that I need. This next piece is definitely a bit challenging. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this with one hand, unfortunately. Trust me, I'm going to try and get better with some of these in the future. Maybe get something so that I can mount this and kind of walk through every step a little bit more in depth. But ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to need to take these small bolts here. We're going to take the arm. So this is the arm that obviously mounts to the bike, and then it supports the indicator and the tail, or the license plate itself. So what we need to do is we need to mount these two together. So you want to make sure that this is this flat part here is facing up. We're going to ultimately slide that back behind here, and you will see that the holes on this will line up with the holes on this, and then we will go ahead, we will slip in the bolt here through the front side. We will use the little nylon lock nut on the back side, and then you will use your Phillips head and your 10mm wrench to go ahead and get them tightened. So don't tighten them super tight here. We'll go ahead, we'll get them nice and snug. So I'll check up with you when I'm done with that. Alright guys, so I kind of jumped ahead here, got this all put together here. So obviously the indicators are installed, The arm is fully installed, but again, didn't fully tighten those, kind of left a little bit of wiggle room so that it can be adjusted at the end. So after you get that on, next thing really is just kind of feeding your wires and cleaning all of that up a bit. So as you can see here, right, so we ran that indicator wire over, and there are actually these little holes on the side of the arms here for you to fish these miniature wire ties that they send you. So you can go ahead and fish them through, tighten that down, cut off the tail. Same thing with the other side, right? So you fish the wire through there, the wire tie through there, go ahead and get it tightened down. Then you will feed your wires back up through the top. So as you can see, they go up and over. They come back through the top here. And again, there are 2 more holes there for you to feed another wire tie through. So then you just go ahead, pull everything, get it nice and tight, make it so that the wires are sitting flat, tighten that down with another zip tie, and just like that, this is fully assembled and ready to be installed on the bike now. So let's go ahead and try and get that done. Alright guys, so we're back at the bike. We have our fully assembled tail tidy here. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and get all of our wires back through the hole there. So we'll go ahead, we'll get that fed through. Once we go ahead and we get the wires in, then what we will do is we will use the supplied bolt for the bottom, the one single bolt here. So Mustard Bikes has provided a smaller bolt to go ahead and get fed through there, so we will put that one on, and then we will use 2 of the stock bolts through these top 2 here. So we'll go ahead and with the stock ones, you will not use the washers. So we'll go ahead, we'll get this mounted onto the bike, and then I'll follow up with you again in a second. Alright guys, well first off, excuse the louder noises. The lawn care company is taking care of some lawns outside, so you may hear the mower. But as you can see, we've got the 2 original bolts mounted up top. We got the one provided by Mustard Bikes down at the bottom, and the tail tidy or fender eliminator, whatever you want to call it, is officially mounted to the bike. So we will go ahead and we will move on to the next step. Alright everybody, now we're back at the top of the bike here. We have our wires that we fished through. We have our original wiring here that we unplugged earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to now go through and we're going to plug everything back in. The nice thing is everything here is color coordinated. So as long as you know your colors, go ahead and get everything plugged back in, and I'll see you at the next part. Alright, so I got the wiring all hooked up. I know I joked that it's simple because you're just color coordinating. One thing I want to point out though is that with the last 2 wires here, the ones that are for the LED plate light, you get this pinkish red wire and a black wire. The factory wiring is brown and green. So the red pink wire goes into brown, the black wire goes into green. So hopefully that helps. Alright, cool. So you got your wiring all hooked back up. You're all good to go there. Obviously now we need to test it, right? So to do that, what are we going to do? We're going to flip the ignition on. The first thing you can come back here and check is your plate light. So you have that little white LED light there. That should be powered on with the bike. So we're good there. Now let's go ahead and throw some indicators on. We'll go to the left side first. Make sure we're getting an indication there. Yeah, good to go. And we'll go right side. Cool. I guess if you wanted to do that a little quicker, you could always just throw some hazards on. And we should have it on both sides. Well, I guess that wouldn't have necessarily been quicker because you want to make sure that when you turn the left indicator on, your left light comes on, and the right indicator, you know, obviously we want to turn right. Make sure all that's good to go. So it looks like we're good. So let's go ahead, and at this point we're going to get everything all buttoned back up, and I'll see you when I'm done. Alright guys, so something I found while putting everything back together, I didn't realize this earlier. So I find it very unusual that, as far as I can tell, there's no easy way to take the main seat off of the 450 SS. I haven't found any kind of latch or any kind of release. So it looks like it's got these, you know, things up in the front, these like wing things to kind of slide in and grab it. But then, as we saw, right, like the back has these Allen bolts, so I can only assume that you have to remove those to take the seat off. But they have a toolkit of some kind. I haven't actually opened it, but there's a toolkit under here. I just find it unusual, right? Because it's not like you can just pop this off and grab it. So you have to kind of be prepared, right? Like if you have a backpack or you carry something with you, to have a 5mm Allen wrench handy, so that if you ever do need to access whatever's in this toolkit, and maybe we can check that out later, that you can take the seat off to get to it. Otherwise, I mean, I guess you're beat. If anybody knows a way to get this seat off that I don't know about, I would love to hear it. But just wanted to throw that at you. All right, everything's put back together. Tail tidy is officially done. Again, shout out to Mustard Bikes, based out of Australia, for making a very quality, easy to assemble part that really cleans up the bike nicely. So again, we'll go ahead, kick the key on. I just used the factory indicators, but everything works perfect and looks great. So until next time, later.